Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
All right, Commanders fans, we've got a little bit of everything cooking today. Some social media drama that just will not go away. A rookie linebacker who's about to make an entire league look silly for not knowing his name, and a power ranking snub so egregious that honestly, it might be exactly the kind of fuel this team needs heading into the season. So let's get into it, because there is a lot to unpack. We have to start once again with Stefon Diggs, because apparently this man is physically incapable of letting a week go by without giving Commanders fans something new to obsess over. Here's the latest chapter. Diggs, as he's been doing constantly, posted another workout video to Instagram showing off that he's still in tremendous shape. And right on cue, Kalan Shayson, one of the Commanders' own players, hopped into the comments and dropped the now familiar recruiting pitch. Diggs responded the exact same way he always does, with an eye emoji and a devil emoji, basically winking at the entire fan base without saying a single word out loud. At this point, this has become such a recurring bit between the two of them that it's honestly starting to feel less like a genuine signal and more like a running joke they're both in on. Is it trolling? Probably. Is it also, in some small way, a real signal about where Diggs would like to end up? Also probably. Both things can be true at the same time. Now here's where it gets a little more interesting. Laremy Tunsil, the Commanders' starting left tackle, also liked the post. But before anyone gets too excited about that specific detail, context matters here. NFL players follow and engage with each other on social media constantly. It's just part of the culture at this point, and Tunsil posts similar workout content himself. So this is far more likely to be a case of players in the same general social circle showing support than any kind of coded organizational message. Still, it's worth noting, because it is a Commanders player engaging regardless of the reason. And on top of that, Deebo Samuel, who doesn't even play for Washington anymore, also jumped into the comments, which just goes to show how much attention Diggs draws around the entire league anytime he posts anything at all. But underneath all these winking emojis and Instagram theatrics, there's a much more serious storyline still quietly playing out, and it's important to get the details right here because there's been some real confusion about it. There was a report from TMZ about a $10 million settlement involving a sexual assault accuser and an NFL star's brother. Now, to be crystal clear about this, because there's been plenty of mixing up the details across social media, that particular case does not involve Stefon Diggs directly. That settlement was tied to an assault case involving his brother. Stefon's own separate legal case is still ongoing, which honestly came as a surprise to a lot of people who assumed everything on his end had already been fully resolved after he was found not guilty in an earlier case a few months back. Apparently, that's not quite the full picture, and there's still something unresolved hanging over him. So where does that leave the actual football conversation? Here's the honest, no-spin read on it. Stefon Diggs is a genuinely talented player, there's no debating that part. Over 1,000 receiving yards last season, still performing at a high level even with everything happening off the field. But the general sentiment right now is that whatever interest exists here is pretty one-sided. Diggs continues sending signals that he wants to be in Washington. Certain players in the locker room continue very publicly campaigning for the front office to make it happen. But when it comes to actual decision makers, the read is that the front office simply isn't showing much urgency here, and the most telling piece of evidence for that is pretty simple. If there were real serious interest, a deal likely would have already gotten done by now. Time has passed. The interest keeps getting talked about publicly, and yet nothing has materialized. There's also a roster logic angle worth mentioning here. The team already has real confidence in its current young receiving core, and adding another proven slot presence could complicate the development path for some of those younger pieces they've been investing in. That said, if Diggs were willing to sign for a modest, team-friendly number rather than the kind of contract a player of his caliber might normally command elsewhere, that calculus could shift. The asking price matters just as much as the talent level in a situation like this. For now, though, the expectation is that Washington rides with the receiving room it already has, while Diggs continues to make his interest known from a distance. All right, let's pivot to something a lot more fun, because this next story deserves way more attention than it's currently getting around the league. Sonny Styles, the Commanders' rookie linebacker, is starting to get some serious national recognition, and honestly, it's overdue. Sports Illustrated recently ranked Styles as one of the top first-round picks in this year's class based purely on long-term potential, and they went as far as naming him an early favorite for Defensive Rookie of the Year. And look, if you've been paying attention to what this defense actually looks like now compared to a year ago, that take makes complete sense. The problem is that a lot of people outside the Washington fan base simply haven't clocked how much has changed on that side of the ball. Casual football fans still don't fully realize the team added Leo Chenal in free agency, a move that's quietly looking like one of the better value signings around the league. They don't realize the team moved on from Deebo Samuel. There's just a broad, general underestimation of everything that's shifted defensively, and Sonny Styles is about to be the player who forces everybody to pay attention whether they want to or not. The traits are legitimately special. His sideline-to-sideline range is exactly the kind of game-changing athleticism defenses build entire schemes around. There's real belief within the building that he could end up being one of the best athletic linebackers to come through the draft in recent memory, and after just 2 years of primarily playing the position, his instincts and communication skills are already drawing praise from the coaching staff. When more than half the league reportedly would have loved to get their hands on this player in the draft, that tells you everything about the kind of ceiling we're talking about here. Defensive Player of the Year chatter might be a bridge too far this early. That's probably getting ahead of things a little. But Defensive Rookie of the Year? That's a completely reasonable, well-supported projection for a player picked this early among defensive prospects, and it's exactly the kind of impact rookie season this defense needs to take a real step forward. Now here's where things get a little frustrating, because it's time to talk about Bleacher Report's latest power rankings, and folks, this is the kind of disrespect that should have every Commanders fan fired up heading into camp. Washington landed at 24th overall. 24th. Sitting below teams like the Las Vegas Raiders and the Atlanta Falcons in a nationally published power ranking. Let that sink in for a second. Bleacher Report's reasoning touched on a few real storylines, to be fair. They noted the receiving room outside of Terry McLaurin still needs to prove itself, that the team didn't bring back tight end Zach Ertz, who was second on the team in targets in both of his seasons in Washington, and that a lot of the defensive turnaround hinges on how well the newly retooled unit performs in year one under this new structure. They did at least acknowledge the additions of edge rushers Ojabo Owe and Kayvon Thibodeaux, both entering what should be prime years, along with the linebacker duo of Leo Chenal and Sonny Styles, anchoring the middle of a defense that could realistically become a top 10 unit in both scoring and total yardage allowed. But here's the actual crux of their argument. And it's the same argument that keeps popping up across seemingly every outlet doing these rankings. The team's entire outlook hinges on how well the new offensive coordinator develops Jayden Daniels as a pocket passer, and more specifically, on whether Daniels can stay healthy for a full season. And that right there is the real issue with a 24th overall ranking. Because if you go back and actually look at the numbers, Daniels played all 20 games during his rookie season without missing significant time. He's never been a player with a lengthy injury history throughout his career. Last season marked the first real interruption he's dealt with as a professional. So ranking this entire team based on an assumption that he can't stay on the field feels less like an evaluation of the roster's talent and more like a bet against a single, fairly unusual data point from one season. If Jayden Daniels plays all 17 games this year, there is a very strong argument that this roster performs nowhere near a 24th overall level. This looks, on paper and on tape, like a legitimate playoff caliber roster when its starting quarterback is healthy and on the field. So yeah, the disrespect is real, and honestly, it might end up being exactly the kind of extra motivation this locker room needs walking into training camp. Nobody outside the building seems to have a clear picture of just how much this defense has changed, how much talent has been added at linebacker and along the edge, or how much continuity and leadership has developed within this offense over the course of the offseason. But that's exactly the kind of narrative this team has a chance to flip on its head once the games actually start being played. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think the Commanders end up making a surprise move for Stefon Diggs before the season starts? Or is this front office truly staying the course with the receivers already on the roster? And after hearing about Sonny Styles' ceiling, are you buying the Defensive Rookie of the Year hype? Or is that expectation getting a little ahead of itself? Drop your thoughts down in the comments, because I want to hear every bit of it. And if you're enjoying breaking down all of this Commanders news with me, do me a favor and smash that like button, leave a comment with your take, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the perfect time to jump on board. We've got a lot more coverage coming your way as training camp gets closer, and you are not going to want to miss a single update. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.